Something I discuss at length within the business is radical candor. Radical candor is the ability to be able to give people feedback, not ending in some level of conflict, but without the aggression, bang, fight, argument, discussion, which I'm sure we've all been in, either with a partner or work colleague or friend, etc. So here's me discussing why it's so important and how we can use that and leverage it, both client, candidate, but also certainly from an internal perspective. Right, so as we continue again with the seventh wave, I'm going to link this into something that they don't go through, but they do touch later off in the syllabus or program, or syllabus sounds like school, doesn't it? Is radical candor. Everyone's favourite thing when I harp on about really radical candor and they don't bloody hell. Right? How we communicate with people is so important of how somebody walks away from your conversation. Nobody gets this perfect. Nobody smashes every conversation. I certainly don't. Right? But if you can be in rapport with anyone you are speaking with, especially from a prospect perspective, then you have a better outcome at the end of that process. If you're out of rapport, you cannot sell to somebody. There's no level of rapport. And when I say you cannot sell to somebody, I'm not talking about buying a washing machine or buying a TV or something, going in and buying a car that I already know I want this car. So when I went to buy my car, I already knew I wanted it, and all I needed was this person to just facilitate that process. I don't need you, I can buy it online, which is fundamentally in the end what I did, right? But I don't need you there, I'm already bought. So that's a large ticket purchase potentially. First things your house, second things. You can't use it as the most expensive thing. And it's the same as well. If you go into a house, an estate agent can make a difference to whether you purchase a property or not by giving you more information. But if you're already a yes, you're already in. Okay? If you're a no, if you're a no, you might be wasting your time. But if you're a maybe, that's when your selling acumen comes in, and that's where rapport needs to be in. Okay? So when I talk about rapport, we can look at it from both a sales perspective and again from an internal perspective, that if there is rapport, if you want the word to use the word trust as they use in the dysfunctional team 5-step model, then you need to be in that place in order to have that ability to be able to communicate from a radical candor perspective. So if we look at radical candor and that communication level, if that person believes that you're coming from a place of care. If we look at colour profiles of green, so showing somebody that you care and then jumping into the feedback level, right? And if we also use the dysfunctional model, if you show through your care your own vulnerability of I actually used to be in this situation, I actually have gone through what I'm about to feedback to you, and that's why I want to share it, because it took me 3-6 months to come to the conclusion of this, and if I'd have just done it so much quicker, I'd have been further on in my career. So here's the feedback that I'm observing of you. And you can always say, I might be wrong, and you might come on with this conversation thinking I'm an absolute idiot and I've got no idea what I'm talking about. And that's absolutely fine, I apologise if I've got that wrong. But if there's 10% of me that's right and I help you move your career forward and avoid the thing that I experienced, here, when you communicate with a client, don't communicate like that. When you communicate like that, you break the rapport level. When you say this, this, and this, you break that. I know when you speak to this person in the business that you get their back up. And the reason I know that is because I used to do exactly the same thing. Okay? Not always show me you care has to be, I really think you're a really hard-working person. I understand that you have worked from 5 to 8 to 5 past 6 today and you may be tired. I've shown you I care. I'm now going to smack down in your ass. Right? The clever nature of communication is an important tool to be able to use to remain in rapport. Okay, and it comes from a position of you're not always going to get it right. You're not always going to get there. But if you can show vulnerability and you can already have a level of trust already, then that person knows they're coming at you from the right position. And how there isn't a single person around this table that hasn't got someone else wrong at some point or some level. All X is interested is Y. All this person cares about is themselves. All this is happening is that. And then you actually learn about that person, and then you're like, oh, they're a different person than I thought. I used to think Gemma Collins was a retard. Probably can't use that word anymore. Absolute moron. I was like, you weirdo. And then I was like, right. I went on my process of trying to find different people and learn about different things. And I used to think Russell Brand was just absolutely right. But I thought, right, I'm going to listen to his podcast. And then I really respect Russell Brand. I really respect his opinion. I really respect his perspective. Don't always agree with the guy, but excellent, right? Gemma Collins is exactly the same. You know, and it's very similar. She does exactly the same thing as Paris Hilton, not as wealthy. Paris Hilton is one of the most intelligent business people in the world. If you watch her, you think classic bimbo, classical intelligence, etc. Right? But you listen to her on the TV show when she's like, oh, this is fabulous, and whatever else. And then I looked into her business acumen. Oh my God. Kim Kardashian, really good example. Everyone's like, oh, you know, Kim's only famous because she had a sex tape. How many people have had a bloody sex tape and now are not multi-billionaires? That now studied law? Yeah, she's not, I don't know if she's actually passed a law degree yet. She was kept getting back at the bar. But look at what they've achieved as a family and the success they've got. Yes, a lot of that's come from their mother and some phenomenal marketing from there. But once you look into someone's persona, it changes your perspective on it. You know? The hatred of Andrew Tate, the hatred of Jordan Peterson, the hatred of Ben Shapiro, right? You may not agree with everything they've said. You probably don't agree with everything your best friend says. But if you look into their person and what they've achieved and what they've got to, it gives you an element of respect where you actually don't hate that person anymore. And it's actually, you may not care about them because you don't know who they are. Jordan Peterson doesn't know you who you are. But when someone goes, and then you can change the perspective of it, rather than being negative about somebody, of actually what can I learn from this person? What can I take from Jordan Peterson? What can I take from Andrew Tate? And therefore, what can I learn from that individual? And if I only hate them, then I won't have listened to the motivation thing that they put out. And I'll only understand the side of Donald Trump that is in your face and that aggressive, colour profile for Donald Trump, what would you say?
Red.
He's absolutely red. He's probably 99% red, right? He doesn't listen, he won't take feedback, but he must have done something to get to where he's got. Highly driven, highly motivated person, highly successful individual. Fair enough, you have a successful dad, but that doesn't guarantee success and money. Plenty of people that have been trust fund babies and not made anywhere. So once you understand about different people, then it gets you in there. But the more you understand people, the more you can use radical candor, the more you can engage with somebody and influence their success, their development. This is both a leadership, management, but also just a personal trait that is really important for you guys to be able to look at and go, how do I use radical candor? How do I make the people around me better? How do I make me better on the basis of that? Because when you lose somebody, communication-wise, you lose the ability to be able to learn from that person. When we haven't got an office full of people that are, not motivated, not driven, not going for it, not successful, don't have, there's not a single trait in this office that somebody wouldn't take from somewhere else and bring into their toolkit. Oh, I'd really like to be able to source like X. I'd really be able to do a reverse headhunt call. I'd really love if I could do X, Y, and Z. If only I understood more about X, then I'd be better. If only I could take that person's years of experience and put them into mine, I'd be more successful. We all want something from someone else in the office. But if you aren't able to connect and get rid of if we look at the triangle model again, that kind of conflict element, which is where radical candor comes in, if you can't communicate with someone, you won't learn from them and they won't invest in you, and you won't invest in them. Because it has to be a 50-50 tool. Make sense?